All right, we're going to start this off with a spooky sort of question for you because it's Halloween season,
Right.
and we're kind of doing these
Yeah.
kind of spooky movies. Okay, so you're locked in a room with 5 monsters for 15 minutes, and of course the monsters are Dracula, Frankenstein's monster, Wolfman, the Mummy, and the creature from the Black Lagoon. All right, you can choose one. You got 15 minutes. You can choose one to protect you, but the rest are trying to kill you. Who do you choose?
Well, I think today's episode tells you who to choose. But
You're right.
We'll play it out afterwards.
All right, we'll see you in just a minute.
Your local video store card.
A comic book in your back pocket.
Games with no tutorials.
Music you had to discover.
And drinking water straight from the hose.
These are the things us millennials remember fondly. We are the Jennings brothers.
Join us after the streetlights come on
as we race our bikes from the top of the hill
right down memory lane.
Exchange those quarters because this podcast takes tokens.
100 years before this podcast begins, it was a time of darkness in the world. A time when Dr. Abraham Van Helsing and his band of freedom fighters conspired to rid the world of over-exaggerated, long-winded millennial internet radio hosts and to save mankind from the lowbrow entertainment they create. They blew it. And we're talking about the 1987 year I was born. 1987 cult classic. Was definitely not classic when it came out. The Monster Squad. One of my favorites growing up. Derek, I don't think you'd really seen much of this, or you hadn't seen it in its entirety, right?
Well, after rewatching it, I realized that I have seen this before.
Okay.
Probably in its entirety. But, it's been probably since the early 90s since I have seen it. It's been a while, for sure. But, yeah, so kind of watching it, it was like watching it with fresh eyes. I came into it actually kind of with a little bias, I guess. I told my wife always asks, what are you guys doing this week? And so I told her, I said, well, we're doing a Monster Squad. And she was like, oh, you can watch that one without me. I hate that movie. I was like, oh, really? And she's like, yeah, it's really campy and cheesy. And, I don't like that kind of stuff. And I was like, all right. So I came into it expecting this like really super campy and cheesy thing. And, the titles start rolling and I see something that really gives me hope. And that is that this is written by Shane Black. And for those who are not familiar, Shane Black has a history in Hollywood of making some pretty good movies. I mean, he wrote, Predator and The Nice Guys, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, Iron Man 3. Let's see, what are some more recent ones? I guess Iron Man 3. Nice Guys, Lethal Weapon, the TV series, that was pretty good. I think he wrote one of the Lethal Weapon movies. Actually, he wrote all of them, it looks like. All the way through 4.
Wow.
Last Action Hero, one of my favorite movies. Last Boy Scout, that's another great one.
I had no idea. Like, I didn't look into that. I had no idea that he'd written all these.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like I said, Predator. So, like, I came into it and I was like, oh, okay, that gives me some hope. Like, if he's writing this is going to have some legs to it. Like, it should be decent enough. Like, the story should be solid enough. And so I sat down, I started watching. I'm watching it, and I'm like, oh yeah, I kind of remember this one now. And the movie wraps up and everything, and I was like, that was a lot more fun than I was expecting. I was pleasantly surprised by the movie, I should say, and it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. It was good. Good 80s film for sure. Solid 80s film.
It is. It is. It. I mean, I see what your wife's saying. Like, there are some campy kind of things in it.
Yeah, but for an 80s movie, it's not that campy.
No.
I've seen way campier stuff in, like, the late 90s. I mean, we've done campier stuff, like, with The Mask.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. 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 That's all. That movie's always going to be, like, has set the bar for anything we've watched.
Is it worse than The Mask?
Yeah, is it worse than The Mask? But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this movie again. I'd forgotten the thing that the little story that scrolls at the beginning is. I did the play off that in the opening here. But I love how it's like going through this very serious, Van Helsing is there, they're going to destroy evil, and then it says they blew it. And once you see that, and there's like a pause in the scroll, and then it says they blew it, and I'm like, what kind of a movie you're in for when they just add that onto the bottom of it,
Yeah.
And I love that it's a bunch of kids that are just like,
just into monster movies.
We're into monster movies, but I did look into this because still watching this Tuesdays when I watched it. I'm like I don't remember seeing very many of these actors and things.
Yeah, that's the one thing I was going to say is it's kind of a rare thing. Well, I don't know about rare, but you don't find it that often where there's a movie this was a good solid movie, but there's no names in it. Like not even like for the time, there's nobody that's really, except for the brother from Wonder Years was the only probably one of the only ones that I recognized, and I was like, oh yeah, he's been in like a bunch of other stuff. Him and the mom, she was in like a bunch of other things.
She's in
around
the Lethal
the same
Weapon
time.
movies, and
she was in the Lethal Weapon movies, and who were some of the other ones? Like
John Grease. So he played the Wolfman. He was Uncle Rico in Napoleon Dynamite.
Okay.
And then he had a lot of credits. I was looking at him today. He was like in the Taken movies and several things.
Yeah. Frankenstein's Monster. I've seen some other stuff.
Yeah. He was
the guy that played the sheriff.
He was Ripper in Last Action Hero. Yep. But yeah, you're right. Like there was. Did you see? I don't know if you looked at it. I mean, you obviously probably looked at some of these actors as well as I did.
I went through a few of them. Yeah. Michael
Faustino. He played Eugene. His brother is David. I'm probably mispronouncing it. The actor that played Bud from Married with Children. That's his brother.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And the only things I'd really seen him in was like Blank Check and Suburban Commando were the only things that I was familiar with.
Blank Check, that's what it was. Okay, I was trying to place him, and I was like, what else did I see him in? Yeah, Blank Check was it. I think he was the friend, right? Or was he the main kid?
He wasn't the main character. He was the friend. Because the main character, I think, was the same kid that was in Free Willy, if I remember right. I may be remembering that wrong.
We're going down a whole different rabbit hole here now.
Yeah, we are. But anyway, there just wasn't a whole lot. Brett Shalem was the only one I was really going to bring up here. He played Horace. But he was in like an episode of Quantum Leap, and there was a couple other things. But apparently he passed away in like 1997, I guess, of pneumonia.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of a bummer. Like, he wasn't that old. He was 22.
No. Yeah, he was super young. Yeah.
Pass away from pneumonia, man. You just got to ignore something like that.
I know.
Or it's got to be really complicated. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's sad.
Yeah. So a lot of people that like I had looked at some of their other credits and I'm like, I don't know any of these movies. Like there was I don't know, like I don't even know. Like they would have like most of them had like 5 or 6 credits they were in. And,
like the kid actors didn't go on to do anything. They just kind of like led relatively normal lives, which is pretty rare.
I mean, that's good, I guess, but then the other part of me, I'm like, well, that kind of sucks if you're wanting to break into acting and you're like a child star and you're like, or a child actor, and you're like, oh man, I got this role in this, this, like, I thought the movie was pretty good, and you're, as a kid, I thought it was great as a kid, and you're like, oh, this is going to be a big movie, and then it just I didn't look and see what it made, but I'm assuming it wasn't that big. And
you know, maybe there was a lot of like behind the scenes stuff, and it was just like a really horrible experience for everybody. And at the end of it, they were all just like, you know what, we're done acting. I'm not doing this anymore. And the only ones that continued acting were the adults who were like, I've been around a time or two.
Yeah.
I know that there's some good ones and there's some bad ones, and this was definitely a bad one. But I don't know if it was a bad one or not. But
it's funny that you mentioned that, because I had found in my research for this, and I wish I'd have seen this earlier in the week because I would have watched it. Apparently on Tubi, there's a documentary, Wolfman's Got Nards.
There's that one? Okay, there's another one too.
Oh, is there? Okay.
Oh, what's it called? I think it's just called like The Monster Squad or something.
Okay.
Hang on, I'm trying to find it. I can't. I don't know. I saw it whenever I was looking for the movie, and came out in like 2007. Did you say yours was 2007?
I didn't see that. I didn't look at the date.
Oh yeah, this one. Okay, so this one was 2007. It's called Monster Squad Forever.
Okay.
And it's a full-length look into the creation of the movie.
Okay.
With interviews from the directors and writers and stars and everything like that.
So. Yeah, I'll have to watch one of them and just... Yeah, because I'm kind of curious now. Was it a bad experience? Was it just... this movie just didn't do as well as we had hoped? Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, on to the movie. So, I loved, still watching it, I love the opening scene with Van Helsing. When it's like back in Transylvania, and they're kind of walking up to the castle, and it's kind of, even for a kid's movie, this movie was kind of scary in parts. Like when Van Helsing and he comes into the castle, there's that woman that's a vampire, and she's eating on that I don't know, some sort of a raccoon, not a raccoon, but some sort of an animal, and then she, I don't know, I remember as a kid thinking like, this is a little bit scary.
That must have happened like in a blip, because I missed that.
Oh, you did? Yeah, like she's eating on it, and then she like drops it and looks at Van Helsing and starts walking towards him. But yeah, it's super quick. But yeah, then you've got the, I don't know, just that whole scene and how that he's trying to have that girl read the whatever the thing is that they're supposed to read, and
the virgin. It's always a virgin. Why is it always a virgin that's going to be the one to save the world? They have to recruit a virgin for these things.
Yes, but then you get towards the end of the movie, and it's like, you're not a virgin, are you? Well, Steve, but he doesn't count.
He doesn't count. I think if Stranger Things has taught us anything, Steve counts.
Yeah, that's right. Now you say that, I wonder if that's where they... No, I mean, Steve's a pretty common name. But I don't know. That'd be kind of cool if they... I know that Stranger Things borrowed from a lot of stuff. But I remember, though, like... So I had this movie... It was on a recorded, like...
Blank VHS?
Yeah, it was on a blank VHS, and I remember I had first gotten it from... I was over at our Grandpa Charles' house, and I was over there for, I don't know, maybe a weekend or something, and they had recorded it for me. I'd never heard of it before, but then, like, so I'm watching it, and growing up, I would watch this a lot, and... but it would always, there was a scene it would always get to, and it was like, it would switch on the tape to I Love Lucy for like a couple seconds, and then go back, and I always thought like, oh, they just accidentally hit record on that, but then as I got older, I noticed it was the scene when Rudy is looking at Patrick's sister undressing in the window.
Oh.
So I think it was intentional that Grandpa Charles or Joanne or somebody had hit the record button over that so that I wouldn't see that little scene.
Did it show something? I don't remember it showing anything.
I mean, she was,
when I watched.
She was just in her skivvies, she was...
Oh, okay. She wasn't nude in any way.
No.
Okay.
No. But,
I was going to say, I watched it on... what did I watch it on? Like, not Tubi, but like...
Pluto TV.
Pluto TV? No,
Yeah.
was it Pluto TV?
Was not that?
I
went to stream
it was Pluto.
Yeah.
There was Pluto TV and Freevee TV were the two options I had.
Yeah.
And I started it on Freevee. Mm-hmm. But they do this weird thing where every like 5 minutes, the video feed will shrink down halfway. And then they'll run an ad around the video.
That's weird.
For like 10, 15 seconds. And then they'll drop it back out to full frame. But it's like every 5 minutes. And like after about 3 of those, I was like, I'm out. So I switched over to Pluto, where they just do commercial breaks. But I didn't know if they also edit the content as well to, for like general audiences or whatever. But yeah, so I ended up watching it on, I think on Pluto TV, I think was the better experience of the two of them for sure. I think it was free.
It was. And I've watched some of the movies that we've covered on there.
Yeah.
I was going to, but then I have it on disc, and I was like, well, like I was kind of lazy. I'm like, I don't want to get the DVD out. I think this is on Netflix or something. And I looked it up, and it's like Pluto TV, and I'm like, I don't want to deal with ads. I'm just gonna go walk over and pull the disc out and
back and forth.
yeah, just watch it on there. But man, I mean, as a kid, I so wanted this to happen in our neighborhood. Like I had fantasized about the monsters coming to Clay Street and then the vortex being up on the hill and like me trying to fight these monsters and gosh, I don't know. Yeah, I wanted that to happen so bad. And like I remember one time trying to make silver bullets, and how I did that is I took some silverware and I boiled water and tried to melt it in the boiled water.
Yeah, made them hot.
Yeah, I just made them really hot.
Sterilized everything.
So, yeah.
I wonder if that would work if you stabbed Wolfman with a silver knife. If that'd be the same as being shot by a silver bullet, or if you maybe loaded one up in a crossbow and then fired it. Is it velocity and speed? Mm-hmm. Is it the fact that it's just silver? Is any silver that he comes into contact with, is that bad for him? I'm curious. And then like if you shoot him with a silver bullet, does it have to be a fatal shot, or could you like hit him in the hand or the foot and that would like reverse it?
And we'll never know because Rudy shot him in the chest. Like that was
that was it.
Him. Yeah, man, Rudy was like my man when I was growing up watching this. Rudy was so cool, like that whole scene when he comes in and like EJ is
you drop the candy bar.
Yeah. And he pulls up and he like slides his bike, lifts his foot up and lights the match to light his cigarette. He's like in middle school and he's smoking.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh man, this guy is so cool. And
he's one of the ones that I was like, I swear I've seen him in something before, and I went back and looked through all this stuff and I'm like, I can't. But he looks so familiar, I just can't place it. Mm-hmm. That's been bugging me all week.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was definitely one of the. He was a cool one for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he was leather jacket and like when he's making the bullets. And did you notice what he was hiding them in? No. It was a pack of Marlboros. Oh, so really? It's like, we can't have the bullets, but we're at school. In middle school, and I can have a pack of Marlboros, and no one is going to know, no one's going to think any different about me.
As long as you don't smoke them during class, you're fine.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
I remember in our high school, there were designated smoking areas. Oh. And if you were over 18, after school, you could be in one of these designated smoking areas, and they didn't say a word about it. Huh. Yeah, late 90s, man.
Man, I never had that. Like, we didn't have that at our school. No, we did have. We had an ISS teacher that he was a heavy smoker, and several times a day you would see outside he would take the ISS kids out to the front lawn so he could smoke, and they'd be sitting out there in the grass, and they'd be doing their homework or whatever, and he'd just be puffing away on his cigarette.
I guess it's fine as long as he's outside.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Different time.
Different time. I will say that, like, you're talking about him pulling up on the bike. Mm-hmm. The whole interaction, all the interactions that all the kids had between each other, like the different, like with the bullies and like the way they talked and all that, felt very like real. Like that felt like the way that we would talk back then with each other. The way that like you'd have different, I don't know, hierarchies of students in school, but it wasn't like. A lot of times the movie's depicted as like the cliques. Like you've got like the jocks in one corner, and you've got like, you know, the geek kids in another corner, and so on and so forth. And but this one, it didn't do that as much. It wasn't as hard lined as far as like the different, like having different cliques or whatever. There were just layers to all the different students and their personalities and the way they interacted with one another, and that kind of like that really showed through to me in the writing. And I think that was, again, like, I put a note down here. I was like, is that something that we can thank Shane Black for? Because, you know, the way he writes is very like true to the way the people tend to talk, I find. Or, you know, maybe not exactly, but it's definitely a lot closer than a lot of other dialogue you find in movies and stuff like that. But, you know, I thought I was pleasantly surprised by that.
Yeah, well, even the way, like, his parents are interacting with each other.
Yeah.
Sean's parents, you know, they're going through marital problems, and, you know, where he's like, honey, you know, I'm a cop. You knew that when you bought the package. And he's like, this is important. She says, I'm important. And he's like, I gotta go. Like, I don't know. Yeah. That just seems like a very real sort of interaction. And even Sean with, like, his dad, you know, where he's telling him, you know, you're going to watch your sister tonight. And he's like, oh, do I have to, you know, whatever. And he's like, yeah, you know, we'll go see the movie tomorrow night.
Yeah, because he wanted to go see the movie.
Yeah. He's like, well, can I have $5 anyway? He's like, absolutely.
Yeah. And then later, whenever he's sitting out on the roof and he's watching it with the binoculars and the radio, and his dad comes out and joins him, and they just kind of like, they have this really genuine moment just hanging out there on the roof. And I like that. That was kind of neat. Which, to me, like, I think I found my dream house. Any house that you can just go sit out on the roof and watch a drive-in movie theater from, that's awesome.
Tune in on the radio. Yeah, I know. Every time I watch this, I'm like, man, this is the life. And then the treehouse that he has in the backyard, like,
oh yeah, they always have these massive, elaborate tree houses.
Yeah. Who built this?
Right? Like every tree house we tried to build, it was like 2 feet by 2 feet. It was all made of like scrap lumber that we could like cobble together with nails sticking out in every direction.
And this thing had like. You know, levels. They've got like levels, and it's like, you know, they almost have running water and a toilet up there, you know,
electricity.
And yes, and it's just it's nuts, but yeah, it's again, it's one of those things. Watching it as a kid, I'm like, oh my gosh, I want this treehouse so bad.
Yeah, that was a pretty cool one. They're always like that, though.
Yeah,
they always have good tree houses in movies.
I
never see a movie where they're like, they show the treehouse that the kids have, and it's just like a little like,
it's our treehouse.
Yeah, what somebody would actually have. Yeah. I've never been to one of these treehouses. I'd like to visit one of these treehouses.
Yeah.
Although we're looking at like different vacation things, and you can go and rent a treehouse to stay.
Oh
in. Yeah. But they're like super elaborate, like crazy
and everything.
Like it's just like a house in a tree.
Well, and then they've got like those walkways that like suspended bridges that will go between trees, you know, to different houses and
or different rooms of the house.
Yep. We've looked
like
at
there's
that
one we
before,
looked at, and it was like the living room was on one tree, and the bedroom was on another tree, and
Yeah.
the bathroom was on another tree, and they're all connected by these bridges and everything. I'm like, that sounds awesome, except for whenever I gotta go to the bathroom in the middle of the night.
It's raining or something.
Yeah.
It's like, what is this? The Swiss Family Robinson? You
Right?
know?
Or I'm in one tree and the kids are in another tree. Like,
Yeah.
nah, that's too much. That's too crazy. Maybe he was just
Yeah, we've looked into a couple of those, and we haven't pulled the trigger on it yet.
Yeah, they look like fun though.
Yeah,
You gotta find the right one.
that's right. Okay, Sean and Patrick's conversation about Wolfman being, is he a regular guy or not? Like, you know what I'm talking about? Like when they're walking, and then Phoebe comes up, and they kind of stop in front of the German guy's house.
Oh, I don't remember what they were talking about.
Okay, they were talking about like Wolfman and like does Wolfman have Nards, or whatever?
Oh,
Yeah, he does. He's a real guy, and he can't have him. Just every time I watch it, I think it's so funny. And then they're so scared of this. They're okay with like these monsters, but then there's this German guy that scares them. And again, it's something that's
real.
like, yeah, that's it. It is real, because that's something I feel like I would have had a feeling of as a kid, because you're just like, oh, this person's like really down the street,
Yeah.
and
all these other things are intangible.
Yes, and this guy, we never find out his real name.
No, I thought I was watching it and I thought, oh yeah, doesn't he turn out to be like Van Helsing or a descendant of him or something
Right.
like that? And I expected that twist and it never came, and I was like, oh,
Nope.
okay.
And he's credited because I looked through the credits at the end, because I was like, what was this guy's name? I don't remember. He's credited as Scary German Guy.
Yeah.
They never give him a name.
But
he had the coolest Jeep though. Like, that's one thing that if I could take one thing back from the movie, it's when that Jeep gets sucked up in that vortex. 'Cause I'm like, oh man.
Was that a Jeep or was that like a Volkswagen thing?
Maybe it was.
Or
could have been
some other,
I don't
maybe
know.
a Bronco chop top or something. I can't remember what it was now.
Whatever vehicle it was. I mean, I love that scene when they are, like, the mummy is hanging on the back of the vehicle. And they're just like, I think it's Rudy's telling Patrick, give me some slack. He's like, I ain't touching that. Just give me some slack. But man, what a pushover that monster was. I felt like of all the monsters, like that one and the creature, like from the Black Lagoon or whatever, I feel like we're the two big kind of pushovers. Like, good job for Horace for killing that thing.
Defending the bully.
Yeah, defending the bully. But I'm like,
never gonna let it live it down.
Yeah, like, the Wolfman was terrifying. Like, and of course Dracula's like just evil incarnate. And Frankenstein. I love how they call him Frank.
Yeah.
Like when
because he doesn't have a name.
He doesn't have a name. And when they're in that mansion and the roof collapses on him and Sean's like, Frank. I think it's so funny. Like,
did Dr. Frankenstein ever give the monster a name?
I don't think he did. I don't know. If you know, leave it in the comments. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that he ever did. I don't know. But yeah, I think that the mummy was just like that, and the creature from the Black Lagoon. I'm just like, what are they like really here for? Like, the only thing the creature did is the only thing he was good for is throwing Frankenstein's monster out of throwing that out of the lake.
Yeah.
And then the mummy holds no, he didn't even hold the rod. Yeah, he does. He holds Dracula's rod for a brief moment so Dracula can hook up the electrodes to Frank.
Yeah. I guess he was just scary and intimidating.
Yeah.
And to show that the town had a mummy exhibit at their
They
museum.
had a museum, yeah. Like,
Yeah. I guess, they had to round out the roster, too. It couldn't just be like Wolfman and Dracula and Frankenstein. They needed a little more in there.
yeah.
You get the classic monsters, all of them together. They probably just didn't have anything to do with them, and they were like, they'll be throwaway characters. They might as well have been wearing red shirts.
Right. Yeah. I mean, he was good for that scene when Eugene has him in his room, and his dad comes in.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, "There's a monster in here," and he's like, "I get, there you, all you
Get out
monsters, get out! Yeah, you on the bed, take a hike." And he's like, "There's one in the closet," and he opens up the door. Look at the big scary monster.
It doesn't look in.
It doesn't look in, and that thing's just sitting there.
Was that the creature? Or was that the mummy?
That was the mummy. The
mummy, okay. Yeah.
Like,
that makes no sense.
How did it get in his room? Like, what was it?
Just wandered in.
What was it
and
doing?
then it just left. Like, what was it? It was just wandering around?
Yeah.
Maybe it was looking for something. I guess it was on the hunt for the book, right? Like, they were all out there trying to find the book or whatever.
Yeah, I guess they were.
So he was just like any children.
Yeah.
Maybe he's not the most intelligent of the five.
Well, he's been dead for how many thousands of years, I don't know.
Although that's one thing that kind of bugged me is like, how did this monster supergroup form? Like, none of these characters come from the same location or time period.
Nope.
But, Dracula gets put away back in, whatever, what was it, hundreds of years ago or something like that?
Well, that first thing, the opening scene takes place 100 years before this, so it's 1887 or whatever.
But the mummy's been mummified for thousands of years.
Oh, yeah.
He's been in a sarcophagus. Mm-hmm. I don't think Wolfman was a thing until the early 19th century. 1900s. And the creature, he might go back to the 1800s. Frankenstein was like, what? Supposed to be like 1600s or something like that? Or 1700s?
Like 1700s, yeah.
Yeah. So maybe about Frank.
In the continuity of the movie, just for the sake of argument, like I could see Dracula having some connection to Frankenstein. But just because it's like, they're both like European, or like Eastern European, whatever. But like Wolfman, like how is he even? Like I wish we could have seen the origins of
Wolfman feels like a mercenary. Like, Dracula came out of it and he's like, all right, I need some hired guns. Who can I get? It's like, oh, I know this guy. He turns into a werewolf. How about him? All right, that works. Let's go hire him.
That works. Yeah.
And then Wolfman comes on. He's like, hey, I got a friend that can swim underwater. And we get the creature from the Black Lagoon as well. Yeah, that's it. They're mercenaries. They're just hired guns.
Yeah, that's all it is. Yeah,
I'm gonna go with that.
John Grease, though, I feel like had, like, as the Wolfman, I felt like probably had maybe the strongest performance in the movie. I felt like.
He definitely didn't want to be Wolfman.
No, he didn't. And then that whole scene when he's in the phone booth and he's changing, and he's trying to warn Sean's dad, and then like his voice changes and he's like, he's going to kill your son, or whatever. And I don't know. I'm like, whoa, this is like. It's pretty good for a kids movie, Which
like the transition from man to Wolfman was very good. Like that was like they definitely took a page out of like American Werewolf in London. As far as like that, because that was a pretty good transition for practical effects. Yeah.
Like American Werewolf in London, I think is like that's such a classic scene, but. Yeah, it was good, and it was good. It was good.
So I gotta know, like, reversing it back, and there's that scene with the pilot, and they're on the plane, they're flying the plane, and then he's like, "Oh, what is that?" or whatever, and he gets up to go inspect the back, and Dracula's there.
They're talking though, like about like, oh, this is weird. We're hauling dead bodies or whatever. And he's like, will you relax? Do they complain? Do they want more of the nuts? And then there's that sound, and they both kind of look at each other. And I thought their sorry, I'm not trying to interrupt you, but I thought their interaction on that was just great. And that other pilot's like, I'll stay here and make spooky sounds. Anyway, finish your thought. I'm sorry.
Which the pilot, he's one of those guys that I'd seen. He was in Sopranos, wasn't he?
Was he?
I think he was. He was one of the Sopranos or some mafia movie, or something like that.
He's got the look to him,
Yeah, I'd seen him in something. I can't remember, but he's definitely somebody that I'm like, yeah, I've seen that guy around before. Him and the co-pilot, I'm like, yeah, they've been, It's like all the adult actors are like, I recognize them from something somewhere. But anyway, so yeah, he's in the back and investigating and everything, and he comes across Dracula. Like, he sees the bat and he's freaking out and he's looking around, and then suddenly he turns around and there's Dracula. And he's like, and then like did they tussle, or did he just kind of he just popped up?
Yeah, Dracula just kind of walks over to Frankenstein's box that he's in.
Yeah.
Because he punches him. That's what it was. He punches the pilot. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. He knocked him back. Yeah. And then the pilot was like, all right, well, I got you. And then pulls the lever to drop the floor. He was going to straight up murder the guy.
Oh, yeah. He was.
No,
he wasn't messing around.
Like, what was the explanation going to be whenever they land? Hey, like, we were flying, this route, and then there was this guy that, like, I guess hitched a ride. It's okay, though. We dropped him 20,000 feet or whatever off of the plane, and he splattered on the ground somewhere over California.
I wouldn't even speak of it. I mean, everybody in the back of that plane is supposed to be dead.
Yeah.
If that were you and me flying, and that happens, and I come back, and I'm like, you're never going to believe this. We would both be like, yeah, we're not telling anybody about this.
I just thought that was funny. It was like between that and then like they got no problem like killing folks.
Oh no,
as it stands and throughout the movie, like there's no like, hey, are you a crazy monster? It's just like, we're gonna shoot first and then we'll figure it out.
Oh yeah,
because there's some spooky stuff going on and we'll get down to it later. Like whenever he confronts Dracula outside the front of his house, he as a police officer. There's no like you're under arrest or like
no,
just like starts shooting him.
Yeah,
and the bullets go right through him, obviously. But it was still like there was no due process. It was just like straight up 80s action movie. We're gonna fire first and ask questions later.
Well, to be fair, he was holding a stick of dynamite and he'd blown up.
Oh yeah,
his son's treehouse in the backyard. But
which, why did he blow up the treehouse? That felt like vindictive.
Just to be a jerk,
Is that all it was? All right.
Yeah. Meeting adjourned. Yeah. But like he
blew up the treehouse, and I was like, why did he do that? Like, they're not in the treehouse. He knows they're not in the treehouse. He's just blowing it up to blow it up for some reason. I guess they just needed to use dynamite at some point in the movie. I don't know. I just thought it was kind of out of place.
Did he have to blow up his squad car with his partner in it? Like, what was that all about? Like,
I forgot that guy just died, and like,
then how could he not get out? The door is clearly unlocked. Like, you could see the pin up, and he's like, oh, I can't get
figure it out.
How do I open up a door? Which I guess his how he tried to solve a case with the missing mummy was just like, did you steal the mummy? No. Gosh darn it, this case is too hard to crack. I give up. Like that's it. He's done. So maybe he's got a pity badge, or some detective badge. I don't know.
He knows somebody. He got it through nepotism.
Yes.
Somebody's nephew.
Yeah.
Yeah, his ending was definitely very abrupt.
Yeah.
Now that you mention it.
I wondered, watching this, there was a couple things, again, that I'll just touch on. So, one was so I know Sean's mother got the diary from the mansion on Shadowbrick Lane because they were having a garage or an estate sale, she said.
Yeah.
But I don't know. If you go, I've never been to an estate sale, but I would assume it's kind of like a garage sale, right? Like, I mean, you're not going to like write down.
I think it is like a garage sale, except they just don't put everything out in the garage. It's just they open the front doors and like everything in the house is for sale.
Okay. Well, like you are not going to like write down really who's buying everything, I would think, right? Like if I come in and buy a lamp, you're not going to be, okay, Ryan Jennings bought this lamp. You know, here's his phone number and his address. Because, like, how does
she bought
Dracula...
something of substantial value. Maybe she bought, like, a dress or two and it was being delivered later.
Okay. Because I wondered how did Dracula know that Sean had the diary? Because he calls the house...
Maybe it's more of like a he can sense it.
Okay.
And then, like, after, being entombed for 100 years, he rose up and was like, okay, I'm going to take this strange-looking device that's on the wall that is clearly for communication and just punch in random numbers until I get somebody talking on the other end.
Is Sean home?
And then, randomly guess the name.
Yeah. Who is this? This is Alucard? Like, just say your name backwards, I guess.
Which, they always do that in those movies. Like, Dracula is always just, like, it's backwards. Or it's like Dr. Acula or something.
Yeah.
Very, like, he's not very, for a guy that seems very smart, very intelligent, his fake naming game is not great.
Oh, yeah.
He could do better, I feel like.
Oh, absolutely. And how did the diary and the amulet end up in this house, in this mansion? Like, and it's clearly been like it's hidden. That amulet is hidden behind. It's in a hidden room, and there are crucifixes and garlic hanging in there. Like somebody knew what they were doing. It wasn't like something was just found at a castle in Transylvania, and they're like, oh, this is somebody that's at an estate sale in Transylvania, and they find this amulet and just happens to make its way over to the United States in this house. Like, what is...
See, I think there was a little backstory that we didn't get. Like, there's probably like a cut scene or deleted scene, and it's like Van Helsing's descendants eventually moved there and settled, and like this is like a family thing that gets passed down through the generations to protect and so on and so forth, and that'd be my guess. Although it was only 100 years ago, maybe. Yeah. Did the first opening scene? Did they say if that took place in Europe somewhere, or maybe that was taking place in America? Like, was that in like Pennsylvania? Maybe.
I thought it said Transylvania. And then, because I'm like looking back up here. No, I don't have it. When I kind of rewrote that beginning part, it does say something about Transylvania, that they're in Transylvania in the beginning.
Were they all speaking English?
They were, yeah. But yet it's written in German, which I don't know how. Like, I don't know.
I feel like for the opening scene, you could have had them all speaking German and just done subtitles for a couple minutes, and we would have been fine. Yeah. But I guess it didn't pull us out of it too much because
the Virgin is reading German. She's speaking German. That's true.
Like whenever they're reading from the book, but like whenever he's giving commands, like "Come on, guys, let's go get him" or whatever. Isn't that all in English?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a movie, I guess.
It's a movie.
Yeah.
That's my job. I'm gonna shoot plot holes and things.
That's right. Well, this movie, this has got a lot of plot holes in it. It's still good. It's you just have to take it. It's one of those movies you have to take at face value. You just take it for what it is.
I don't think there is a movie that you can watch and not shoot holes in it.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. I don't.
You have to suspend some disbelief in everything you watch.
Yeah.
But it's fun. It was a fun movie. I enjoyed it for sure.
Yeah. Who was your favorite character in it?
I don't know. Thinking back upon it now, I guess maybe the dad. The dad was a pretty solid character. He was a lot of fun. The Frankenstein's monster was probably my favorite of the monsters. Although I think Wolfman looked really good.
Oh yeah.
Oh, so did the creature. Yeah. The creature looked really good too. Whoever was doing like their makeup effects or whatever was doing a pretty good job. It was a pretty solid job.
I thought they all looked good. The only one I thought didn't look great was Dracula, to be honest, because I thought his costume looked a little bit like I bought this from Kmart.
Yeah, his little dollar store costume.
But I don't know. That was the only thing I thought that. But yeah, everybody else was just rock solid. I thought, especially Wolfman. Everything was torn up and just. I even thought it looked good when Sean's dad like sticks the dynamite in him and then blows him up.
Yeah,
and then he just slowly starts to come back together. I thought that looked good, for practical effects from '87.
Yeah, looked pretty good, fantastic. Yeah, or Dracula looked pretty good whenever he got shot, flew through that window, like that whole scene, and he's like kind of like half and half. That was pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty good effects for sure.
And what a good shot, right? He's like driving at like 100 miles an hour. He hits
out the window.
Out of the sky. Yeah.
Hits it a couple times too.
Yeah. He was a good character. And I can't remember his name, but he was a good character. He was good.
I think he was just Sean's dad. I don't know if they had a name. There was another one that just did not have a name. Yeah.
I go ahead.
I was going to say, I don't know of anything else that I've seen him in, though.
Yeah.
The actor.
Yeah, same. I can't. I mean, he's got a face that I feel like I've seen him in something, but I'm like, well, am I seeing him? Am I thinking I've seen him in something? Well, yeah, I've seen him in the Monster Squad.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's...
And he's kind of like, he kind of looks like a couple different people. Mm-hmm. Like, he's like, he's close enough that you're like, oh yeah, wasn't he? Oh no, that was somebody else. Or, well, wasn't he in this? No, that was somebody else. And they all kind of look similar.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's kind of what it is he's just kind of got one of those faces that blends in with like other actors. And so you kind of like conflate his career.
Yeah.
If you will.
Yeah, Rudy was mine. Sean was a close second, just because Sean's like the leader, and everything. But I love like Rudy's lines, and like when he's like sitting with Patrick, they're trying to get Patrick's sister, and he's like, "This babe is serious," or he's like, they're like, "Where are you going?" And I'm not going to say because this is a family show, but he's like, I'm in the GD club, aren't I? And he's like walking off with a cigarette in his mouth, and he's like going to kill the 3 vampire brides.
I thought that was funny that like he's the cool guy and everything like that, but he kept being like, "So I'm in the club, right? Like, am I part of this group?" With you bunch of like this ragtag group of like, sorry, but not social hierarchy folk, but like, am I part of your group? Like, are we gonna hang out? Am I your friend?
How did Eugene end up with these guys? Like, because Eugene's like significantly younger than the rest of these guys.
Oh, he has to be like somebody's brother or cousin or something, I would imagine. Or maybe like the neighbor kid, or he just looks younger. Like maybe he's only like a grade behind, but like some kids look like a lot younger than they actually. Because all these kids were supposed to be like 12, but they looked like they were 13, 14, maybe 15 in some cases.
Yeah. Well, the gal that played Patrick's sister, which I mean, she did look old. Like she's supposed to be playing in high school.
She looked like college at least.
Yeah, she was like 21, I think, when they shot this. I was looking at.
Okay.
But the other kids, they were, I mean, early teens, early to mid teens. Yeah. I think Rudy was probably the oldest, I would imagine, but because he looked older than the rest of the kids. I thought. I mean, not significantly, but he looked like he probably could have been in high school or something.
Yeah, freshman.
Yeah.
Which what grade were they supposed to be in?
I thought they were supposed to be like.
Well, if they're supposed to be like 11 or 12, then they'd be like 7th, 8th grade. Yeah. 8th grade. No, I think 7th grade.
Yeah, maybe 7th grade. Yeah.
Not upperclassmen, but not lowerclassmen. Yeah. That makes sense if they're 7th. Yeah. I don't know.
My favorite scene in this whole movie is the prepping montage. I love a good montage.
Oh yeah,
in movies. They got Rudy's making the silver bullets. He's doing the steaks.
Yeah,
and then for some reason, is it Patrick? Patrick is cutting up Monster Squad
business cards.
Business cards. What is this?
He's like, we're going to be busy.
Sean gives it to the army guys when they show up there. It's like,
which the army shows up because some kid crayon drew a ransom note and sent it off to the army, and they sent like an entire platoon to this little town who come in just guns blazing like, let's go. Where's these monsters at, kid?
Tanks and everything.
No, that's the ridiculous over the top 80s-ness that I'm used to.
It is. Yeah. Who are you? We're the Monster Squad. You remember Horace? Horace is like he doesn't want to go into the mansion, and he's like, "Hey, Sean, what if we did something else? We could be Math Squad. We could sit around and do math problems, or Nature Squad. We could collect rocks, look at butterflies and birds. Not die. Like it's the whole death thing I don't like.
Yeah. Yeah.
Math Squad.
I don't think it's got the same ring to it, though.
No.
I'm surprised that there wasn't a sequel to this.
Yeah, I'm assuming it was probably because it probably didn't do very well at the box office. Is what
did it not?
I'm guessing. I don't know what it did. I mean, I know that it really within the last decade or so has really gained more of a following than it had when it came out. You said it must have not done well.
I'm gonna give you all right, what do you want, the budget or the worldwide gross?
Give me the budget first, then the gross.
All right, budget was $12 million.
Wow, that's a low budget movie.
That's a low budget.
That's way low. Yeah.
How much of that do you think they recouped? Gross worldwide.
I'm betting it grossed $4 million.
Ooh, close. 3.7.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. Opening weekend 1.9.
How?
And then it just fell off.
I wonder how that I mean I've watched this and no, this movie is not going to win any awards.
No.
But it is a fun movie. I don't understand. Maybe I
think it got released too early. It was released August 16th.
August, yeah. This is a summer movie.
This should have came out in October. This is a Halloween movie. Yep. It should have came out in October.
You're right.
That's not the end of summer.
Yeah.
August of 87. What else was coming out in 87? I can't remember anything else from 87. No. Not off the top of my head. I'm sure I could look it up, but I bet there were maybe other movies that year that were I don't know. What were you saying?
And I wonder how they marketed it too. Like, were they marketing it towards kids or? I mean, I could see
at the time. I mean, it's the 80s. They didn't really market one way or the other. They just kind of marketed the movie as the movie typically.
That's true. That's true. We've got alien action figures for kids, and
that's the problem. They didn't do action figures for it.
If they would, you're right. If they would have done some action figures for this,
yep.
Totally could have.
And
you could have given
it's
Sean
all
a
Universal
gun.
Monsters. Is this a Universal film? Maybe that's the problem. They didn't get rights from Universal.
I don't think it was a Universal film. I think that that's what I'm wondering. I'm wondering, did they have the rights to this? Did they get sued for using?
Maybe they only got rights for the one film, and then they couldn't get rights for the next ones. Although that wouldn't explain why the budget was so, or why it never made that much money.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's a shame. I could totally see a sequel to this, or even a reboot. A modern reboot could be done pretty well.
Yeah.
Especially in the vein that we've seen with Stranger Things and other movies kids getting together and taking down big spooky monsters can be fun. Can
Duffer
be done
Brothers, if you are listening, which I'm sure you are, you should pitch a mini series of this to Netflix.
Ooh, yeah.
I would watch.
We could spend a little more time with each character, get into some backstory, answer some questions. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we could develop the Frankenstein character a little bit better.
Yeah.
You know, have him have a good true arc.
Yeah.
Maybe redeem him by the end.
Yeah. Well, he kind of redeemed himself a little bit, didn't he?
Yeah. Well, or maybe it could be instead of Frankenstein being the best friend or whatever, it could be Wolfman. He could be like a good family pet. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You could have him be closer to closer to everybody when he's a man, and then I don't know.
Yeah, they tame him. He becomes
he's on a leash.
Doghouse in the back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Take him for walks. Who's gonna clean up after Wolfman? Ain't no pooper scooper big enough for that one.
No.
No, yeah, I think we're onto something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be good.
We need to make a movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It was a fun watch again, I thought.
Yeah.
I one of the things that I hadn't touched on yet, before we kind of wrap this up, I wish we could have got to see a little more of the German guy.
Yeah.
I liked him.
I feel like there's a backstory there too.
Yeah.
That we didn't get.
Because, I mean, obviously he was in a concentration camp. Like, you see that when he's closing the door and he's like, oh, I know a thing or two about monsters. But I think there's more to that than just, like, Nazis. I think there's more to, like, maybe he's encountered a vampire, or I don't know. But, yeah.
As we know from, what was it? What movie, or what game was that where there were Nazi vampires during the war?
What was that?
Wolfenstein?
Was it Wolfenstein?
Was it Wolfenstein? I can't
remember.
That feels like something, though.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just making that up.
Yeah.
That feels like something. Anyways.
Yeah. Maybe Blood Rain didn't have that. Man, that's a relic of a game. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Any final thoughts from you on this?
Let's see here. Monster Squad. This is a classic 80s trope that we didn't talk about, but the ending credits, a theme song written just for the movie.
Oh, yes. Yes. Wasn't a great theme song, but it was a theme song written.
But there was a theme song written for it, and that was a pretty common thing back then.
Yeah.
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 I think that covers everything in my my notes. Oh, well, I do have one here. Why did Dracula send Frankenstein after the book? Like, couldn't he have just gone over and gotten the book? Like, he clearly knows. He sent his worst guy to go get the book. Wolfman, at least somebody with that's got a little pep in their step. But no, he's going to send Frankenstein.
Yeah,
the one that he clearly knows he's got no control over because he's got him locked in a room.
Oh yeah.
And that's the guy he's going to send to go get the book. The book is like the linchpin in his plan, and he's like, you know what? I'm going to send out the monster for that one.
Yeah. Instead, he befriends a 5-year-old girl.
Yeah.
And, which that was kind of a throwback. That scene of him and her by the pond when she met him was a throwback to the original Frankenstein movie.
Yeah.
Which I thought was pretty neat that they did that.
Yeah. Yeah, because I thought that. I thought, oh yeah, this is isn't that a thing with Frankenstein? Like, he always befriends a girl or something, and there's a flower involved, and it's just a touching moment, and it's shows that Frankenstein or the monster has a soul or whatever.
Yeah. In the original movie, not the original movie, in Frankenstein, he, if I remember right, it's been a long time since I watched it. I think he accidentally kills the little girl, because he's playing with her and he throws her in the pond for some, like, I think he thought she was going to, like, float. I can't remember exactly what it was.
It gets a little too rough.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's about all I got for it. Yeah. Anything final thoughts, closing thoughts from you?
No, I think I've said my piece with it. It's good. It's one of those movies that I will continue to watch during my lifetime. It's not something I'm not going to plan on watching. I'm not going to make it a yearly staple, but once in a while, like I'll be like, oh yeah, I've got that movie. I kind of feel like watching it again, you know?
Yeah.
And it's good for an hour, and I think it's an hour and 22-minute runtime. It's a pretty short movie.
Yeah. It's quick.
I feel like there's never really a lull in it. It's boom, boom, boom. Something's always happening. You get your plot points, you get to the end, and you're done. And wow, that was entertaining for an hour and 20 minutes. And now what am I going to do? You know? So, I mean, that's all you need. We've talked about that before. That's really all you need in a movie. I just want to be entertained. You know?
That's right. Yeah. This does it. This does the job for sure.
It does. Yep.
Well, all right.
What we'll do next week.
Next week, we'll be doing, I'm going to continue the spooky season thing, and I'm going to pick one of my favorite Halloween movies, a little more recent, and that is Shaun of the Dead.
Great movie.
So we'll be doing Shaun of the Dead next week. Yeah. Feel free to join us, watch along at home,
please,
or just wait for the conversation if you've seen it before and don't want to watch it again for whatever reason. I don't know why you wouldn't want to, but I'm giving you plenty of warning. And as always, do you love This Podcast Takes Tokens? Get yourself a free sticker. Show your love for the podcast and be one of the first 50 to snag an exclusive sticker. Here's how. Listen to the podcast, any episode on whatever platform you prefer. Review, leave a written review, a unique written review on either Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Capture that review in a screenshot and then send us an email of that screenshot along with your mailing address to thispodcasttakestokens@gmail.com, and we'll send you a sticker absolutely free for each unique review that you leave us. You want 2 stickers? Leave a review on both platforms and send us both screenshots. Bam, you get 2 stickers. Act fast because this offer ends December 31st, 2024. Email us as soon as you post to ensure that you get credit for the review that you posted. And remember, 1 sticker per unique review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Comments on other platforms like YouTube and Instagram do not count as reviews. We need a 5-star or any star that you feel like we deserve review on these platforms. This is going to help us get out there to a broader audience, if you will. So get to listening, reviewing, and sticker collecting. There are 5 unique designs, and I will pick a random one to send you for each unique review that we receive. And until next time, be kind and rewind. See y'all then.
See you then. This Podcast Takes Tokens is a Clay Street production. Okay, we are back. We are going to, after our discussion of Monster Squad, we are going to go back to the question that I had posed to you. You're locked in a room with the 5 monsters from this movie for 15 minutes. So you're locked in a room with Dracula, Frankenstein's monster, Wolfman, the Mummy, and the creature from the Black Lagoon. For 15 minutes, you can choose one to protect you, but the rest are trying to kill you. Who are you choosing to protect you?
Locked in a room?
Locked in a room.
What are the conditions of the room?
I don't know. It's just a room. You're you're in the.
Is there a window?
No, there's no way out. You're stuck in there for 15 minutes. You've got to have.
Well, I'm more thinking like sunlight, because like if it's in the middle of the day, Dracula's not a problem. If there's sunlight in there.
Sure. Yeah, you just stand in the
window.
window.
Is there water access? Because if there's no water access, then that takes the creature off the board.
You're picking this apart.
He's not going to be useful.
They're trying to attack you. It's a room, a 4 walls, a door.
How
that's
big
locked.
is the room? Do I have things I can hide behind?
You've got nothing. You have nothing. You are just
a big blank room.
It is a big blank room. There is nothing on the walls. They haven't even painted the drywall yet. There's nothing, and you are stuck there with 5 monsters. But they're all together, and they're like, okay, we know we can absolutely destroy you. To make it fair, one of us is going to fight for you.
Was the room built before the 90s?
Let's just move on to comments.
Like, if the studs are 24 inches apart, I can just go right through the drywall. No, all right. I think I'm going to make Wolfman my friend.
Yeah.
He'd be a good, man's best friend and all that.
Yeah.
I think he'd be good in a fight.
Yeah,
like I said, I don't think Creature's going to put up much of a fight. Mummy, we've already seen. We just grab one end and go.
Yep.
And plus, dogs like bones, so that takes care of that pretty easily. Dracula, I think, is your only real formidable one, and I guess Frank, because you got some muscle there. But I feel like Frank you could distract. Like if you got like maybe you just you dangle a little laser pointer off of Wolfman's collar, and that'll distract Frank enough too.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, that's
jingle your keys. Whatever.
Yeah. Well,
how about you?
I was going to say Frank, just because he's so strong. Like, he in the movie, he just picks up, Dracula and just throws him into the cross, and he says bogus while he's doing it.
He's trainable.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But do I have enough time to train him? Probably not. So I guess now that you may have convinced me to move over to Wolfman, because Wolfman's like, if I was locked in a room with any of them, just one of them, I would not want it to be Wolfman.
Now, what kind of wolf is he? Is he dire wolf or what kind of wolf are we talking? Because I don't know German commands, so if that's the only way you can get it, some dogs you gotta speak German to get them to do certain things because they're trained in German. But if Wolfman's like that, I don't know that he'd be very useful.
Yeah, I don't know
because I can't speak German.
So my original question on this was going to be that you've got all 5 of them, and you can pick 2 to fight for you, and then the 3 are trying to kill you. But then I thought, well, this is going to be 2. No, what was it? I can't remember exactly what. Anyway, something like that. I thought, well, this is ridiculous because God knows neither one of us is going to pick the mummy or the creature to fight for us. So,
well, that's why I was asking what room am I locked in. If it's a room with a pool, I might pick the creature.
Yeah. That mummy is not going to be worth it. I mean, somebody's just going to grab him and just unwind him, and that's going to be the end of it. What's just going to shamble over towards them. And then what's he going to do when he gets back to the movie? What's he going to do when he gets to somebody? He's just shambling.
I don't know.
He's going to touch him.
But if it's like the mummy from the Mummy, he's got the powers where he can absorb or whatever, and that might be formidable. But we never got to figure out what his powers were. We saw Dracula using all kinds of powers left and right. He had powers I didn't know Dracula had. Yeah. But this reminds me, I had many years ago thought I'm going to, as one of my on a whim projects that I'm going to start up, I'm going to write and make a NES game, homebrew an NES game, and then I found there is a company that you can get that'll print it on an NES cart for you and everything, so you can load it up in an actual NES. And I was like, that's pretty cool. So I'm gonna make a game for this. And I had this idea of doing a Mega Man style game, but it's all classic creatures, monsters, universal monsters. You got Dracula and the Mummy and all of them, and I would do 9 different ones, and then you would end up taking on Van Helsing at the end. And so that was my thought. And you would go through the level, and then you would defeat the creature, whichever one it happens to be, and then that creature would join you on your team, and it'd be kind of more of a, what do you call it? Like Final Fantasy. What is that?
Like a role-playing
RPG.
game? So, yeah.
Yeah, it'd be kind of like an RPG style type of thing. and you collect your party, but your party ends up being made up of the different creatures. So I thought that'd be kind of fun. I don't know if that game already exists or not, but yeah, I thought that'd be kind of a fun game to do. So I started, I wrote out some ideas, some rough ideas and everything like that, and I never actually got around to the programming part of it, but I have notes. Yeah. that's all that matters.
That's right. Yeah.
All right, so this week we got a couple comments.
Yeah, we do.
You want to go over this?
Yeah. So our first one was from right now, probably our number one fan of the show, Will Ford 81. And he said, "Hey guys, always happy to hear my comments on the show." We're happy that you're happy about it, man. Yeah. Looking forward to a TMNT 2 episode one day. We do plan on doing that. There is so much I could say about that film, both good and bad, including the best line in all of TMNT filmography. But I'll share that with you later when you guys do that one. Yeah.
I'm curious what he thinks the best line is now.
I know. We want to do that one. We are,
I think that might be a good first anniversary episode.
Mm-hmm.
That'll, put a button on. We did that for the first episode. We can do that for the anniversary one. We can do TMNT 2 maybe.
Which is coming up here in just a few months. So,
yeah. Just after the year.
Mm-hmm.
Man, almost a year. We're at 30, but this is going to be 35, I think, this episode will be.
That's right.
Yeah, we're doing every week, 62 or 52. Looking forward to that anniversary one.
Yeah.
We're going to be 53. 52 or 53?
Yeah. And who knows? It'll be one of those numbers.
It's 52 weeks. Yeah. 52 would be right. 53 would be the anniversary one. Yeah. So, yeah, we're looking forward to doing TMNT 2 as well. And 3.
Mm-hmm.
We'll do 3.
You forget eventually.
About 3. Yeah. Not me. 3 was one of my favorites.
Was it really?
I've never watched it. It's got time travel in it. I love time travel.
I've never watched 3.
How have you
never watched it? I don't know.
Oh, but man. We might do 3 before we do 2.
Yeah.
All right. We got one more comment, and that's a quick one. Somebody pointed out that I said December 2004 whenever I first announced our sticker campaign here. And yes, I went back and watched the episode. I did say 2004. I did not say 2024. Well, unless we, possess magical skills that allow for time travel, yes, 2024 is whenever this ends, this sticker campaign that we're doing, not 2004. A podcast in 2004 would be quite impressive. And if we kept it going since 2004, that'd be super impressive. You would have been in high school whenever we were doing it if we did it in 2004.
Been nuts, yeah.
But that's all we got.
That's it. Yeah, we will see you all. We'll see you all next week. Thanks for listening.
Next week we'll be doing what was it? Shaun of the Dead. Yeah, Shaun of the Dead. Join us next week.
See you
later.